Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Is Kentucky star Otega Oweh. Okay, so Otega Oweh, first of all, again, let's make note, we are recording here at 6:22 Eastern time on Tuesday. So by the time you listen to this, he may have already made his decision, but he is a very interesting one from this perspective. He entered a great year at Kentucky. I always said I did not know Otega Oweh was as good as he was. I think part of it was whatever was going on at Oklahoma, it wasn't the right fit. I'm not just going to blame Porter Moser, but he comes to Kentucky, averages 16 points per game, and you go back to the end of the season, he was really their only consistent player. And what I really respected about him was that he was a guy that showed up every single day to play at a time when it's not that players weren't showing up to play for Kentucky. They had so many injuries. Lamont Butler in and out of the lineup. Andrew Carr in and out of the lineup. Jackson Robinson out for the year. And Otega Oweh showed up every single game, had some phenomenal games late in the season, 27 against Oklahoma in the SEC tournament, including what was essentially a buzzer beater, 20 against Troy in the opening round of the tournament, 15 against Illinois in a win, 13 in the loss to Tennessee. He was basically the only one who showed up for that game in the Sweet 16. Well, I bring it up because after the season ends, he declares for the draft. And I remember, I think we might have been live on air when he officially declared. And I remember saying at the time, like, listen, interesting story, but if he wants, listen, all these guys want to play in the NBA, he should declare. And what he should do is go through the process, meet with teams, do interviews, do whatever, get to know NBA people, have NBA people get to know you. But I said, I was like, I don't think he's going to the NBA. I said, I think the money's going to be too good in college. The role is going to be too big. He's going to be the star at freaking Kentucky, and he'll go through the process and come back. Well, I bring it up because we are, as I said, about 29 hours removed from the draft deadline. We have not gotten word. I would argue he and Tahad Pettiford are the biggest names that, as we're recording, have yet to make an official decision. And I don't want to say that I feel like things are changing because I still think he's coming back to college basketball, but it's certainly getting interesting. And Kentucky fans have watched Florida have a guy come back, Michigan have a guy come back, Arkansas have a guy come back, A&M. I think they're just waiting on Otega Oweh. Like, what are we waiting for, my man? Let's get going here. And so what has changed since the day he declared? I don't know how much has actually changed. First off, I know Kentucky fans kind of at the time, probably about 2 weeks ago, he did an interview where he basically said, like, yeah, I'm all in on this process. And I think the thought process was, wow, he's all in. He doesn't want to come back to Kentucky. It's like, I didn't perceive that comment that way. It was actually, to me, the opposite. Is that's kind of what you want to hear from a guy, right? If you're doing something, do it to the 100% of your ability. And I think all it really said was, like every young player, he wants to play in the NBA. And so if he's going to take 6-8 weeks out of his life to prepare for the NBA draft, go at it 100% and really put yourself in position to get drafted. And so that's what I believe he did. And the thing with Otega Oweh that is so different than so many of these guys with the stay or go decision, he actually played well at the combine. Now, a lot of these guys have pulled out of the draft because the stay or go decision was kind of easy after the combine. I love Darian Williams. We're going to be talking about him in NC State in just a minute. His decision was easy after the combine. Who else? Milos Uzan. I actually think his decision was actually pretty easy. Did not play great at the combine. You go on and on down the list. There were just a lot of guys that didn't get the feedback that they wanted. Otega Oweh was really good at the combine, scored in double figures in both days of scrimmages. By the way, Carter Knox, I think he's going to be great next year, but he was another player. Had a good combine, but not a great one. Anyway, I bring it up because good combine, says he's all in. Does it change anything? I still don't think it does. Listen, I did a quick browse of all the mock drafts before we went live here. Unless something has changed again in the last couple hours. I think I saw one where he was maybe the 57th pick, 56th pick, whatever. By the way, wasn't Bronny the 56th pick last year? Anyway, it has nothing to do with anything. But I've seen a bunch where he's not selected at all. I've seen one, I think, where he was like one of the last 2 or 3 picks, and that was really it. And so listen, we always give this preface of 2 things. Is one, I never tell people what decisions they should make in life. It's your life. Do what you want. And if he decides to leave, that's totally on him. And there's always the possibility, hey, he just doesn't like school. He wants to be done. He wants to get his career going, whatever. But I also think that even with the success that he had at the combine, I do still think he's going to come back to Kentucky. And I'll say this, really two things with Kentucky in big picture, with and without Otega Oweh. One, if he's back, I know I said 24 hours ago, I think Carter Knox makes Arkansas the best team in the SEC. I was looking at Kentucky's roster earlier in the day, looking at what it would look like with and without Otega Oweh. I think it's hard to make the argument that anyone other than Kentucky is the favorite in the SEC. And frankly, beyond that, not just the favorite, I think Kentucky's a top 3-ish type team with Otega Oweh, because you bring him back, you think about a backcourt of Jalen Lowe, Otega Oweh, Denzel Aberdeen, Jasper Johnson are your top 4 guards. Find me a team that has a better top 4 guards than anyone in college basketball. You got Mo Diabate on the wing. You got the front court with Jaden Quaintance when he gets healthy, with Brandon Garrison, who all the offseason workout videos make him look like he's due for a breakout year. You know, Malachi Moreno is going to play a role. Braden Hawthorne, who we talked about last week, is going to play a role. And so I just bring it up because I think Otega Oweh, like, he firmly puts them in. And I think there is something to star player coming back, knows expectations, knows what it's like to play for Mark Pope, what it's like to play at Kentucky. I do think you want that continuity from one of your better players because, listen, with no disrespect to the guys off the bench, but, you know, Trent Noah, Colin Chandler, like, it's one thing to be a guy who played last year at Kentucky under Mark Pope. It's another thing to be a guy who played at Kentucky last year under Mark Pope that was like a star that, again, understands it. So I think Otega Oweh firmly puts them in the top 5, maybe the top 3, maybe the top 2, depending on how you feel about some of these other teams. The counter to that is I actually want to take a minute and give Mark Pope a little bit of credit, because I think it's not often that you can have a decision come this late and you feel like your roster is still in pretty good shape. And I feel like Mark Pope is kind of in this position where even if Otega Oweh doesn't come back, I still think Kentucky's going to be pretty good. Again, Jalen Lowe, super athletic point guard, great stats on a bad team. So imagine what it's going to be like with better players around him. Denzel Aberdeen, we saw the stats when he started last year at Florida, the impact that he had. We saw, by the way, Jaden Quaintance, Brandon Garrison, Mo Diabate, all of these guys we've talked about, Cam Williams that I haven't talked about, Jasper Johnson, Malachi Moreno. So I just bring it up because there's been a lot of schools where basically there were players that entered the NBA draft and the school just said, we're going to move on without you. RJ Lewis at St. John's, Darian Williams at Texas Tech. Kentucky, it feels like, basically said, go test. If you're good enough, we'll figure it out. If you're not good enough, we really want you back. So I think Kentucky's one of the rare schools that will be in very good position, even if he doesn't come back. But I would expect that he does. Again, NBA draft deadline, May 28th. That's Wednesday. Many of you will be listening to this on Wednesday. And I do still think Otega Oweh comes back. By the way, as producer Matt reminds me, make sure you're following our Torres on UK Twitter page for all your late breaking Kentucky news.